Hello again, it's Garson, and today there was an update. If you see in the top left, I even updated the statement. So patch 8 stress test just got its third update with some plenty of bug fixes, no pun intended with the Swarmkeeper here, but also there's some balance changes, and the most notably one, we'll talk about it in detail, but first I'm going to give you the rundown. So you'll see with my Swarmkeeper sorcerer I was going to run, we do a lot of damage on a shocking grasp, right? But if we use the jellyfish attack, wow, that's way less. Basically, this character was designed where the charisma modifier was added a lot, because, you know, I've played, you know, cantrip builds, shocking grasp builds, but the cool thing about Swarmkeeper was it was also adding, prior to this update in the stress test, the Swarmkeeper was actually adding all those damage onto the swarm attack. So swarm attack, when you attack, you'll actually get 3 options, one of which is for, let's say, the jellyfish, you get 1d6 lightning damage. So if we mix these two subclasses, and I made a video about this, so you could actually see I wasn't joshing you. Yeah, this is now changed among other things. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to roll back the tape, and I have some clips for you highlighting some of the things I think are pretty important in this update. It's not going to be as spicy as last time, but I do have some opinions, and just like last time with update 2, in update 3, what I'm going to do is cut this into 2 parts, so you don't have to worry about my blabbing, my opinion, my feedback. But if you'd like to, at least that way it's there without being, you know, unsolicited and all that stuff. So I really appreciate that. So that leads me to big thank you to you guys. Thanks for asking, you know, to cover this, and thanks to you guys, I have patch 8. So what I'm trying to do is let you guys know what's changed here. I don't like reading off the changes on the website, on Larian's like update on the forums. What I like to do is just highlight some of the things that you and I have pretty much highlighted that we're interested in or concerned about, and then I'll leave some of my own feedback, and you guys are welcome to in the comments section. I actually really appreciate that, even if you disagree with me. So again, a big thank you to you guys. Either way, thank you so much. I'm just going to dive right into it and try and keep it simple with that first half, and then we'll dive into more talking with the second half, right? So most changes are bug fixes. Like I said, I don't personally like to go through a video of something you would probably just do on your own. If you guys really want me to, let me know. We could just read through all the patch notes, make an easy video that way. But personally, I think it's better to go ahead and highlight some of the stuff that you or me find that we're kind of invested in since we've been playing through these new subclasses. I've personally now played all of these on live stream, 3 different runs. Each one was the 4 new subclasses, just in their own class, no crazy multi-classing. And so I was excited to run something like this cantrip deal, shocking grasp guy in the next run, but plans might change now because, like I said, things are subject to change. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight some ones that I think are really notable. Some hilarious ones was whatever boats your float, and everyone is a dirge. What I'm talking about here is right off the bat. Let me actually pull up pictures of the patch notes here. Sorry about that. Give me just a moment. I'll load these up for you guys. Alright, so the first one I want to bring up here is the actual patch 8 notes. We're not going to, like I said, I'm not going to read through all this stuff, right? So patch 8 stress test, a little bit bigger than this. Sorry for the sloppiness. There's a lot of bug fixes that are really good. Some that I didn't even know about. And, you know, I'm not the only one stress testing this, so it's actually pretty hilarious. So just for fun, getting it out of the way, because I did encounter this through 3 different honor mode runs on the live stream, and we were kind of cracking up at this. There's some funny ones right here I want to notate real quick. So they said in gameplay, fix the skiff at the Morphic pool. It no longer floats in the air. Sorry, guys. The goofiness of the boat at the end of the game is no longer floating, but that's actually good. This is what I'm demonstrating, is there were some really silly bugs that were going on, some more noticeable than others. Just like at the bottom here, the non-dark urges would actually talk as if they were the dark urge. They would use their dark urge lines. So my own hirelings and my own Tav in a custom game was talking like the dark urge, just because one of my characters was the dark urge. It was actually pretty hilarious. I'm actually sad about that one going, but I knew it was this bug. So you can actually read through a lot of these bug fixes. Some of them are actually pretty scary. I didn't know they could just game over. Said fix the bug would give you option to go back and choose Explorer and whatnot when you got a game over. There's one about being in Act 3, the start of Act 3, and all your characters just flat out died. I didn't even ever encounter that, so thank goodness. Thank you for the hard work with that, Larian. Now we're going to dive into some of the highlights that we've been following along, and I'm going to just try and show you highlight the changes by giving you video examples and explaining if you haven't been following along before and after, right? So the first one right off the bat is if you were playing the new Warlock hexblade before, I think there was you weren't able to get the hexblade condition with offhand weapon attacks. So if your offhand weapon was the hexblade, the pact weapon that uses charisma, there's a chance that the pact weapon, the hex weapon, can apply the hexblade curse. It's very useful. I went over why hexblade's awesome because of that. Just getting the random chance of applying the conditions powerful. And so apparently people were finding out that the offhand hex attack doesn't work. So in the new update 3, now it does definitely work. So what we'll do is actually show you what I can, just quickly testing things and demonstrating them, right? So as you can see here, they said updated the bound hexblade weapons to apply hexblade curse, and so it should now in the offhand apply correctly. What I'm going to do is actually just try and swing. I'm going to give myself a bunch of bonus actions, and I was highlighting the fact that, you know, I could use a combo between, say, the Infernal Rapier and the offhand hex weapon, so that way they both use charisma on a warlock, right? So if I was just swinging only with my hex weapon on the offhand, I can actually apply the condition. So what I'm going to do is the only mod I'm using, I've tested without mods. I reapplied just one mod to help me test things like this, where I can get a bunch of bonus actions, make it easier for you to see and demonstrate. So you can see, like, after a bunch of swings, I don't get the hex, so I said, oh, maybe it's not working, right? So after that, if you give it enough swings, it's apparently so-and-so chance, maybe 20, maybe 30% chance swinging with it. So if you swing enough with your hex weapon, even with an offhand attack, or your hex weapon is the offhand attack, right? You can actually place this. So you can see right here, what I'll do is go ahead, swing one more time. And yes, indeed, you can land a hexblade curse at random, but even with an offhand, if your offhand is the X weapon. I know I'm saying that a lot, sorry. Alright, so just wanted to demonstrate that. And just to pause it for a second, you guys have been asking, I'm doing tests right now, so with the update 3, now I have to retest this. But apparently, as far as I've tested, for those asking, the Infernal Rapier, it works off of my charisma, my spell modifier. It does not apply the Hexblade Curse from all my swinging 100,000 times. I just don't have enough time to show that in the video, okay? So we'll just hop out of that one and move along. And then, okay, so this was a big one, and we'll talk about this because we have a little history here on this channel. Apparently, Pact Weapon was not offering the extra attack in Honor Mode, okay? So in the Honor Mode rule set or custom game Honor Mode rule set, you cannot make your extra attack on a Warlock that's level 5, even if you took Pact of the Blade at level 3. Now, and that was on any Warlock. So now, as far as I've been testing, it does work on Honor Mode. The issue was that it was working prior to this update. It was already working on Tactician or lower, but in the Honor rule set, there was a bug where you could not use it, and now you can. So now you can use extra attack, but only if you choose Pact of the Blade at level 3, and this doesn't just go for Hexblade, this is any Warlock. So let me pull this up to demonstrate that it is in fact working, thankfully, because I love Warlocks. Okay, so Deepen Pact now correctly grants extra attack via Pact of the Blade on Honor Mode. Okay, so again, the issue was we weren't getting our extra attack, and as you can see here, it's highlighted, and if I wanted to, I could use Banishing Smite or Booming Blade. So it's truly working. It's, you know, extra attack is working for that action spent, and it's thanks to the Pact weapon at level 3, or Pact of the Blade at level 3, even on a Hexblade. But it's because Deepen Pact at level 5 will enhance that, giving you a extra attack, just like normally you know, for those who haven't been experiencing patch 8 stress test, this was a big issue and why I would imagine why we can't get the patch out yet. Okay, so moving on, we have booming blade per action. So this is a big one. This was a hot topic. Again, we're not going to get into that dialogue until the next section, but for those who weren't aware, in update 2 there was a balance change, not a bug fix. It was a balance change where it made it so you can only use the new blade cantrip, booming blade. This is a weapon attack similar to a smite, but it was considered a cantrip, right? And so you can only make it once per turn because there was feedback and the devs decided, okay, let's try it where it's only once per turn rather than every single weapon swing. Let's try that. And it was a hard limit. You could still use it as your extra attack. Let's say you attack normally first and then use your extra attack, and then you use booming blade on the second extra attack, right? Okay, but now they brought it, rebalanced it again, getting more feedback, and so I think this is the Goldilocks zone, the middle ground between both sides. We'll see. I'm not really the decider of that, but once per action is now the new rule, and it still grants extra attack, so it can be the first attack that initiates as extra attack, right? Or it could be the next follow-up attack that you can use booming blade as the extra attack. I'll show you in the video, right? There's also something I want to show you with war magic, so pay attention to this. War magic should trigger it because it's a cantrip, so you would be able to attack with your bonus action on Eldritch Knight. So it does, but it's disabled during your normal extra attack. This is possibly a new bug that I might have to report, and I'm just going to document it here too for your, you know, for your viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and open that and pop this out. All right, so as you can see here in the notes, updated booming blade. Now it's once per action taken. Even if the initial attack wasn't booming blade, you can still use it on your extra attacks. And I'll try and demonstrate that with the, you know, most popular choice to demonstrate it, which is the Eldritch Knight with all of its extra attacks and improved extra attacks and so on. So you can see I swung first with a normal attack. Now I'm on my extra attack. I can booming blade, but now I have to hold off on that and use up my remaining extra attack. Okay, so now I'm swinging with that, and then Gale here is going to throw me a speed potion just so I don't action surge. I just want to show you in honor mode, if I had another action, I don't get another 3 attacks. I just get one more swing. But can I use booming blade in the same turn? And the answer is obviously yes. Okay, now if I action surge, right? Oh, and I triggered war magic here. So war magic is working, but for some reason, if you saw in the first volley, I was locked out of it. It didn't trigger because I had to use all my other normal extra attacks. I don't know what's going on here. And there was an update with that. Let me pause the video. The war magic and war priest extra attacks will now disable themselves if the bonus action needed for that extra attack, you know, if it's working, right? So this is weird because I don't know if this is intended or this is the consequence of trying to make such a complicated interaction. I really feel for the devs on this one. So I am getting war magic triggered from booming blade, but if I had extra attack and improved extra attack, it actually disables war magic. So I would have to have a whole nother action, which is troublesome in honor mode. Like your action surge will give you a whole nother 3 attacks. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that. We're clearly going to have to look at this and see if I need to maybe, like, you or me or whoever has the stress test might need to put more feedback and test this, especially because booming blade is so popular and works on so many cool builds. So we'll have to test this a little further. So hopefully that kind of clarified what they were talking about there. This is again a balance change, but the problem it's so hard with, must be so hard with balancing it, is that this is what happens with everything kind of changing or whatnot. Okay, so Drunk Monk, this one's pretty simple. I forgot to type this out. So before, redirect was a reaction, 1 key point, and then you apply a condition to attacker, okay? And then maybe they attack someone else. Sorry, I have to do this live, right? So someone else. Okay. Now in the update, what they've done is basically much simpler. You basically get Kushigo counter, And I think this comes in at level 6, level 5 or level 6 on Drunken Monk. We'll talk more about Drunken Monk in a moment, but let me just show you the video. It'll explain a lot better than me sloppily typing here. Sorry about that. So here's redirect, now how it works. This is a very big different change to it, and we'll pause for a second. Drunken Master's redirect attack now uses unarmed strike right back at the attacker, so you don't need multiple enemies. And I did set up a scenario. The way this would normally work is these guys, I need another enemy or another target around me so that he can redirect his attack to somebody else. That I guess was the point. Now it's a lot simpler, pretty functional. We'll talk about my opinion or feedback on this, but to keep things simple, if you've ever used the Koshigo counter from the Soul Vest, you're going to now be able to do the same thing, but it just costs a key point, right? And it doesn't matter if there's tons of people surrounding you. All that matters is a melee attack. If it misses you, you can spend the reaction and the key point to do a normal unarmed attack with all its benefits, Tavern Brawler, magical gloves, all that stuff, okay? And so again, the guard jumps out of the way here, and I'm going to start another round of combat where they attack me, and it's just one guy now, right? And I redirect his attack. And to make things simpler, I suppose that the devs just made it so now you just attack even if there's nobody else around. It's just you versus that guy. You can go ahead and counter attack with your fist, okay? Just costs a key point, and you know, once you get the Koshigo vest, you can do the same thing without spending a key point. So yeah, sorry for the sloppiness there. I'm just kind of editing on the fly a little bit. All right, so we get into damage riders. This is going to be a big topic in this video, but again, it's going to be a little hard to explain. How do I get into this? So there was a comment. Let me see if I could bring this up right here. Bear with me. Okay. This was something I have to bring up directly and kind of explain to you, okay? So at the very bitty end of the patch notes, it says combat, and there's some other bug fixes here, but the top one is the most concerning. It says bug fixed, or fixed a bug causing damage riders to be added multiple times in honor mode. And for those who don't know about honor mode rule changes and some of the history of this game, prior to honor mode, damage riders were kind of out of control. It was kind of funny. It was fun, a little overpowered. So when they made honor mode, they made a lot of tweaks to that specific game mode to rebalance the game, and that's what this is largely related to, okay? So in the notes here, I just wanted to kind of point out, you can already see my example in the background with my sorcerer Swarmkeeper here, okay? So what this has changed, and it was very unclear in those patch notes, that's why I put it on the screen, right? Riders is unclear. This possibly, when I read this, my heart skipped because I was like, oh no, my Swarmkeeper! And also Giant Barbarian, we just finished a run with. So to keep things simple, and this is going to require a lot of testing and seeing different riders, what they were referring to, but the top of my head, I immediately knew this probably plays into either Giant Barbarian's level 6 Elemental Cleaver ability, and the Swarm Ranger's bonus attack, which I'll show you right here. The bonus attack right here, the elemental damage you get from whether it's the jellyfish or the bees or the moths, okay? So there was a lot of interactions with these, especially the Swarmkeeper. So what I can tell you from the simple tests I've been able to do and go back, Giant Cleaver is largely unchanged from what I can see. The Tavern Brawler will affect the element damage on thrown attacks when you're using the level 6 Cleaver ability to infuse it, and then it becomes a thrown weapon, and then it comes back to you and it does bonus damage. So everything I said just recently in that run, still pretty applicable, no drastic changes as far as I've tested. Where it makes a huge difference, and we're about to talk about it, but just to state it simply, here are some of the interactions, and we'll see them in video form. Let me pull up some clips to demonstrate what I'm talking about, okay? So let's get into the riders right here. Okay, so I fixed a bug causing damage riders to be added multiple times in honor mode, and one of the big things this means is Karlach here is, funny enough, both a Swarmkeeper and a Tavern Brawler, Path of the Giants. So check this out. This was a super strong combo, very fun, mostly because the Giant, when you add the Cleaver ability to your attacks and throw, say a lightning weapon now, right? This interaction with Tavern Brawler was really strong. It would add Tavern Brawler to the lightning damage of the elemental infused weapon, right? but it would also add it to the Swarmkeeper, and as you can see here on the right hand side, it doesn't do that anymore. But if we pause for a second, you can see that I'm getting Tavern Brawler and the rage bonuses. That's all intended with Path of the Giants as far as I know. And so the lightning damage also gets those rage bonuses and the Tavern Brawler damage, okay? But in the past, when we mix these two classes together, what was happening is your Swarmkeeper damage right here, this lightning, this would also get Tavern Brawler, and I think the rage bonuses and whatnot. I did a video called the Jelly Giant or the Sea Giant, and that demonstrates exactly what was going on here. So Giant is kind of covered, but Swarmkeeper has been directly affected by this, and I don't know if, since it was a bug fix, if this was intended, because this cantrip build was also affected. Check this out, right? This is just Swarmkeeper. This is the build I ran in honor mode. It's pure 12 levels, using the Jolt Shooter to synergize the lightning damage, the lightning charges, the Swarmkeeper jellyfish attack, and so on and so forth. And I love this, and I rated Swarmkeeper very highly because this would synergize. And so again, we're just demonstrating. Before I talk about this in further detail, just simply put, this additional damage from the jellyfish would also add more lightning charges, which it does not do anymore. And it would also apply the lightning charges damage, and furthermore, if you had Hunter's Mark, you gain even more jellyfish damage, another 1d6, and that would continue to get lightning charges damage, and you would quickly ramp up your lightning charges stacks and pop off a very powerful 1d8 additional or whatever it is for lightning charges, right? So this rider is now not working, and I wonder if this is a bug fix, or this was the intended bug fix, if this is what that little notation was referring to, but I sniffed it out immediately, and yeah, lo and behold, Swarmkeeper was very much affected by this change, okay? I think I have one more clip I'll kind of share with this. Let me just see if it... I think this is just the Giant again. So again, I'll try not to belabor this. We'll skip ahead. So if I throw this, the Swarmkeeper and Giant combo is very powerful. You would zap them with your reaction attack. You would get Tavern Brawler on the physical, on the elemental cleaver damage, and you would get it then on this reaction jellyfish attack, or any kind of swarm attack, right? And so I'll skip ahead. I zap, and it just doesn't apply. It's just the normal 1d8, and I want to talk about that now, okay? So I'm going to kind of get now to the opinions and feedback section. I thank you so much if these highlights were relevant to you. You really don't care for my opinion, and it's a-okay, totally fine. I'm going to now get into the opinions. It's actually going to be more lighthearted than the last video anyway, because I don't mind if you disagree with me on this, and there's not much to say on most of these, so we'll just kind of dive into the changes here, okay? So from here on out, it's going to be a lot of talking. I appreciate if you listen, and definitely let me know in the comments what you guys feel with some of these changes, okay? So starting right off with the hexblade, it's great. Basically, offhand hexblade was not something I was aware of. It's kind of funny. Let me just pull this up so we get a little less noise. But yeah, I wasn't aware of this, and I've actually been having some comments when it comes to the patch 8 questions and answering for you guys. I'm gonna have to redo these tests now, but I wasn't even aware that hexblade wasn't applying if you used it in an offhand weapon, like say a dagger. You hexed this and then put it in your offhand. That's actually really clever use of it, and so I'm glad this was fixed, because in the future I could see myself using a hexblade on say a caster build, so I can attack with my offhand weapon with charisma and maybe potentially get the curse. So this seems to be like it's fixed, and that's really, there's no real comment on that, just like cool, good job. That's what we want to see. There's tons of bug fixes I'm not covering here because they're very minor. I didn't run into them in my runs. I just hope that other people are leaving feedback if they run into stuff. The hilarity of the boat floating, that's all we really have to say. This is covering not only the offhand hexblade, but the major things I'm not talking about, or all the minor bug fixes I'm not encountering and talking about, right? But what specifically is a good note right here is pact weapon on the warlocks is now fixed. Thanks to you guys, actually, not me. I'm not going to take all the credit here. Thanks to you guys. You guys helped me figure out what's going on, to hone in on what to document, and I made a just private video, uploaded on my channel, and submitted it to the Larian forums, and I'm really happy. I'm probably not the only one that noticed this, but I was able to figure out exactly what the issue was thanks to you guys. So the issue was realizing it's only on Tactician or lower. That's why some people said, no, it's working for me, works on my PC, bro. So thankfully, it turns out it was honor mode issue on the honor mode rule settings here. if you're playing a custom game or actually honor mode, this rule set actually has so different intricacies that it was affecting, you know, the gameplay in that way, and warlocks could not get their extra attack. So it's finally working. Viewers also, just there's a little more to this discussion when we were talking about this, and I just want to lay it out there for those who are reading the feedback. If Larian, the developing team, wants to hear the feedback, I don't really have either way. I don't really care how this is required, but my viewers, my commenters, and people who play the game and feedback on my channel have stated that it would be really nice that even though you guys got this fixed, it's great, maybe you could consider putting extra attack at level 5 anyway, regardless of the pack requirement of level 3. There's some debatable arguments that I kind of agreed with, which was the point of the subclass is to be a full-on martial subclass of warlocks. You know, you have the Blade Singer, now wizards can have a martial subclass. You have Valor Bard and Swords Bard. They already get extra attack. There is no Pact of the Blade nonsense there. So I get it, why you're required to do this, but maybe not. Can we just get normal extra attack at level 5? I echo that opinion, and I would like to see maybe the feedback there, or you know, just consider it, right? And one of the other arguments is that maybe tome and the chain viability would be a lot more open on a hexblade, because it seems a little redundant to players and even myself. But I just wanted to notate this is where we're coming from, and I just wanted to echo again their opinion on that. The next thing is Booming Blade per action, which again was not a bug fix. This was a balance change, and I personally didn't really care. I made a big part of the last update video was about this. I'm not here to retread old ground. I have something really important to say about it, but aside from my opinions, I just didn't really care either way. And the funny thing was, this is not a heel turn. Again, I would rather it just be on every attack. But now that I've played Booming Blade, where it was once per action, I still used it. It was still fun, and it was still strong. So now that it's back to once per action, I think this was, obviously this was a huge discussion in the last video where this became once per turn, hard limit. And I love the comments, even when they disagreed with me. I don't need an echo chamber, and ultimately that video was just to kind of like give feedback, but openly, and I loved the response to that video. So I really appreciate everybody who commented on the video, and what I got out of it was fantastic. I stopped giving a crap about my opinion. I really liked that there was pretty much a 50-50 divide between everybody who commented, and commented very politely, mind you. I know you guys were passionate and really hard-headed like I was about it, but everybody really made a strong argument for or against the turn limit, and I think we're now in the sweet spot. But I have now played honor mode with, you could just swing it as many times as it has in attacks, but also I've now played it where a full honor mode run where it's once per turn, and I love Booming Blade. I'm just happy it's in the game. I really think this is the sweet spot, but I don't get to choose that. The devs do, and I think the community does too, right? Now, I want you to skip this part for a second, because there was a little there. I'm not going to throw shade at anybody. I don't really care. I just want to say something with that discussion from last time, and it's going to pertain to this video too, but if you don't want to hear it, it's cool. Skip it, right? I'll highlight the next part once this is over. It's not a rant, but if your opinion comes from, I go to this website, or I see too many YouTube videos, or someone keeps saying Booming Blade, Booming Blade, Booming Blade, I'm tired of seeing it, and therefore it should be nerfed. I just want you to reconsider that that is not how you balance a game, and the swath of feedback to the developers should never be based on, I don't like thing because I see it too much. That is not balanced to a game. Remember that this is a single player game, or maybe even a multiplayer co-op game, but like, it is not going to affect your game. And in my opinion, I don't go on those websites. I don't go on a lot of YouTube videos and see what everybody else is doing. I just play the game, and maybe it will help you that if that was your opinion, again, not throwing shade, but maybe you didn't even comment and you felt that way. I know it might be annoying to see new toy syndrome is what it's called, when somebody gets, or the community gets something fun and new and it's overpowered and whatnot. They'll get tired of it eventually, just like you got tired of it. But that doesn't mean the feedback should come in overwhelming response to say it's too strong or it's too weak or everyone's talking about it. I just feel that there were tons of arguments or tons of disagreements and debates about why it was too strong or why it was too good or why it was too weak or not good enough or whatnot. Like, you could see the discussion right there in the comments. It was a 50-50 split, and people really put their heart and soul into saying this is why it is or is not too strong, right? Regardless of anything I said in my video too, because I have my own opinionated point. But I'll just wrap it up with this. Please consider the fact that maybe you just need to stop theory crafting, stop looking at what everybody else is playing and being upset that it's too much, it's too annoying, whatever. I get that because I've been through that too. And I would just like to recommend, like, just go back to playing the game. You don't get all that noise anymore. And if it's too powerful, too strong, too obnoxious, or too alluring to use, just try not to use it, right? That is my only stance on that, and I just wanted to highlight that, okay? So we're done with that. I will not get that too deep into it anymore, but we'll keep on moving on. I think there's a bug with War Magic, like I said, so I'll have to test it more when it comes to Booming Blade and War Magic and some of the... There's a lot of good options for Booming Blade. That's why it's so popular, right? So I'll have to test it more, okay? Now, moving on with Drunk Monk and the redirect attack. So we've wrapped up in honor mode just now with this subclass, and I rated it pretty harshly, but rating aside, it's not just me. I've seen a lot of feedback, and I'm actually really disappointed with myself for not trying to draw out the potential. And you guys, a lot of viewers, a lot of commenters were like, no, dude, it just doesn't work the way it should. And that sucks. It's hard for me to believe that, but I think that might be the case. And we've all kind of discussed like what tweaks need to be made with Drunken Monk based on people watching my stream and my playthrough in honor mode and other players saying I have this stress test, this is what I think, I agree. So redirect was one of those problems, and it's great to see it addressed. I think this is a real quick change or tweak. It's decent. It's kind of a bummer because I like the idea of the move, but I'd rather just have function and usability. And honestly, a Kashigo counter with a key point and getting it earlier, like I think level 6, is a really totally valid, totally fine. I think I and viewers still have issues with the subclass though. Again, Intoxicating Strike and Drunken Condition, we ask, and I say we, like literally I had a lot more ideas from my viewers than I had on my own. Some of my comments and feedback from people watching or playing the subclass, from what I've read in my comments and my chat, were just saying, can the Drunk Condition do something useful? Because the charisma and dexterity checks don't do anything, and there's no incentive there to use Intoxicating Strike. Life of the party is, maybe it shouldn't be lost on any attack. Rather, if you take damage, you lose your stacks, because this also feels, for how late into the subclass, level 7, this does not feel encouraging to go that deep into the subclass, that deep into the class. And so the recommendation I've heard a lot in my comments is, hey, what if you just lose it on hit, like damage, rather than missed attacks? Because currently, I don't know if it's bugged. I would just like to keep leaving feedback. If we're going to talk about redirect and fix this, maybe we could talk about the other things that are really bogging people down with the subclass. And lastly, sobering does not feel useful or impactful for the key points I'm spending for losing out on life of the party. Assuming you change this anyway, I would still not use this, because me and a lot of players feel like it's not enough damage. And my suggestion, this is one of my personal suggestions, maybe for every stack of life of the party I'm losing, I do get a damage increase on the dice damage, okay? So it's probably hard to design these new subclasses and coding. I totally get that. I really hope this feedback was simple and also possibly easy to tweak when it comes to the Drunken Monk. These are just real 3 key issues that I think the stuff is there mechanically, and we as a community, at least the people who watch my channel, have just recommended, hey, maybe improve the condition of Drunken so that it's more useful in combat. Maybe don't lose the life of the party stacks until you get hit and take damage. And then maybe make sobering feel a little more impactful for the cost that it's spent. It's all right there, and we think it's just tweaks rather than hard coding and changing and stuff. Because honestly, the work that was done for redirect seems like, you know, more effort than what we're proposing there. But I don't know, I don't code, and I apologize if I'm, you know, kind of staying too much there. We hope you consider, and I thank you if you were watching, devs, specifically for that more than anything. All right, now I do want to talk about something more personal, which is the damage riders. It relates to this build. I'm probably not going to run this now, and this is a core issue. This is classified as a bug, and it was a little vague, and I've tested a little bit, and I was worried about this extending to Path of the Giants, which we'll just keep it simple. Seems like it's totally fine the same way I played it. pure 12 levels of giant still seems super strong because nothing really got changed there. Swarmkeeper though gets really hit hard by this. So Swarmkeeper in our testings and during my honor mode playthrough, just as simple as grabbing the jolt shooter and having lightning charges on a bow ranger is immensely strong and fun. It's immensely fun. Is it immensely strong? Yeah, actually, I don't even want to kind of sugarcoat it. It was, but I don't think that was an issue. And I've played stronger stuff in honor mode, and I don't want to turn this into another booming blade discussion. I'm just trying to make a point here that I think this is really what made the subclass, and this is much more drastic than Booming Blade just having some tweaks and balance changes. This is a whole subclass, okay? So lightning charges, the sorcerer bonus, like this draconic sorcerer back here, the lightning charisma damage was being added to that Swarmkeeper attack. The benefits from cantrip stuff, like Potent Robes was even applying. If I use the cantrip attack and then I zapped him with the jellyfish, this was even applying to that. Maybe that's not intended. I could live with that, but why not the multi-class bonus? Why not the giant cleaver bonus? Why not tavern brawler bonus if irrelevant? I feel like these things is what made this Swarmkeeper not just so simple and easy to jump into in its own class, but I don't know if this was intended, but this is not a good change. Just in my opinion, yes, but let me explain why. I played this now on a full level 12 ranger Swarmkeeper. The benefit to the damage at level 12 is not going to draw somebody in for the sake of a simple build where they grab Swarmkeeper for the theme and for the little power boost is not enough to draw people in. I played this. What made this feel powerful is its interactions with gear, feats, and multi-classing, right? And so even just on a simple level 12 ranger, these riders make the subclass far more fun and interesting, like easily. And I was excited to play this character in the background, the sorcerer Swarmkeeper. I was excited to play a wild shape with the bees. I was excited to play a giant, a Path of the Giants barbarian with the jellyfish for like a wombo combo. And it might have been stupid damage, but it's fun and it's interesting. It's what's going to draw people even years to come to say this subclass does not just stand on its utility. It stands on the excitingness of how cool it is to just be like, yeah, I'm attacking with my shocking grasp, and then these jellyfish come in and, you know, follow up with some crazy damage. And if you don't have that, then it is just utility, and it doesn't stand on that in my opinion. Being able to just teleport at level 3 or possibly shocking them, possibly blinding them, that's not that fun. It's great that that's an option, but it was great that there was a choice between I could build this stupid and simple, which is okay. It's cool to keep it simple, right? I could just go for a build where the swarm adds more damage and it has these interactions with gear and multi-classing that adds damage to, say, you know, the shocking grasp and the potent robes adding damage, and then it adds swarm damage. Like, that is actually really simple and fun to play, and it feels impactful and memorable and just exciting. And it can beat honor mode, yes, but, you know, like, I've played the weakest stuff and it could still be honor mode. I remember stuff that has impact and it's fun and it has something that other classes don't have. Now, the advanced side of this, where if I go into wisdom, I could end up getting the shocking sting, right? And then there's also the utility of teleport. But that's not enough to make this subclass like, oh yeah, this is why I'm playing it. This is fun. I like the choice, and I think players will like the choice of having the best of both worlds. It's like the best subclasses in this game are something so versatile that you could build it stupid simple, but it's strong, or you could be more advanced and have that same strength, but you have that versatility of like teleportation, shocking them, or choosing to do damage. And there's reasons why I would choose in scenarios why to have this one over this one over this one, right? So it's an investment of 3 levels. Unlike Booming Blade, that discussion was based on this is so easy to acquire and you'd be stupid not to get it, and I get that, but you could choose not to play it. But okay, I could see both sides of the argument. I have a tougher time when the investment is already there and you told me, okay, you should take this subclass. It's 3 levels and you're playing Ranger, and I don't know how I feel about Ranger, and is the subclass really that good? Well, just go in 3 levels into it with your multi-class, or try to play it all the way to 12. I just don't think these rider damage combos are beyond the intended difficulty of what I play on honor mode. You know, I've played plenty of powerful builds. Here we go again with the Booming Blade discussion. But I don't think it's that, because I think there is a justified amount of investment that spices up a build, yes, gives it utility with teleport, or maybe the shocking, or the blind, or whatnot, depending on the swarm. But I'm locked into those swarm choices. Give me something that really pulls off the feeling of having these little jellyfish or moths riding with me. I do remember how out of hand riders used to be, okay? But I can very easily tell that players are just not going to be impressed with this damage. And I hate to say it, that's just how most players, even myself sometimes, I could be wrong, but most players are just going to ignore this subclass, okay? I can even use a current example of the Drunken Monk. The way people perceive that subclass, myself included, after playing it, is why would I bother? I know the visuals are fun, I like the theme, but it's not enough. Or maybe I'll play it in a joke run, and I'll limit myself. But I don't even want to use the Drunken Monk special abilities because they just don't work, and they don't have payoff, and they make me feel like, why did I invest 3 levels into Monk, let alone Drunken Monk or whatever, right? So I feel like this is a literal comparison right across the aisle with another new subclass. Like, I want to see Drunken Monk better, but I also don't want to see Swarmkeeper get so abysmal that no one's going to use it, because it had so many cool interactions with everything. So this may be similar to the balance debate for Booming Blade, like I said. I hope it's not. I'm not trying to get really like on point. Like I said, I love the devs for even adding these new subclasses, and I had a wild fun time with Swarmkeeper, and I rated it so highly because I could see so many cool ways to play thanks to this new subclass I'd never had before, right? So please keep this in mind. This is a whole new subclass, unlike Booming Blade. I really think it, to me, and I could be wrong here, I don't want Swarmkeeper to be remembered as the subclasses. Oh, remember they added that subclass to Ranger? Yeah, it sucks. I want them to remember as, oh, dude, it's so stupidly overpowered. Yeah, it probably needed a nerf, but you know what? When I ran it with Giant, it was fun. When I ran it with Sorcerer, it was fun. It was so unique when I ran it as a melee or a range build. The way it had the jolt shooter and the lightning charges added up, that was so freaking cool. That's what I think, for me at least, always makes the game like really memorable and replayable. It's like, I gotta play again because I haven't played a Swarmkeeper yet, and then there's like 5 different options, and I want to play it again and again and again. That's all I'm coming from. So was it intended effect of the bug fix? I don't know. This may have all been for nothing and they revert it because, oops, sorry guys, bug fix, it's spaghetti code, something happens, another thing. So I apologize. I'm not trying to get on anybody's case, and again, if you disagree, it's totally cool. For those who are just watching for the sake of entertainment, great. So once again, I thank you for watching. I know this was long. This is just what I do, and I love it, and I love that you guys care to watch. Like I said, I made it in 2 parts, so with the second half, if you disagree with anything, it's a-okay. I don't mind. Just be polite in the comments. You guys were excellent. You've always been excellent in the comments. Newcomers too. You guys have never like said anything out of line or just overly jerkish, and I really appreciate it. Even if you think, Garson, you're a total idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, like, I don't know, go watch my playthroughs, I know what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm not a dev, and I don't have say over anything when it comes to development or the build meta, all that stuff, and I'm not the fun police, so don't worry about that. But definitely think, if there's any questions with this stuff, especially the first part, and you want me to try and cover an answer, you think I can answer a question on video, let me know. But otherwise, you guys watching are my sponsors, and I'm really glad. I really appreciate it, and hopefully this was helpful. And if you stuck around for the second half, thank you so much, even if we disagree. Okay, have a great day, and devs, Larian, if you're watching, I love you guys. Honestly, I do appreciate all the hard work, and I just hope patch 8 comes out and everyone's having fun with all these subclasses. All right guys, take it easy. Later.